Hi, I am Jamaica Canyon, a BSc English student, and I have to discuss the five hypotheses of Krashen'S theory of second language acquisition. But first, we need to know the identity of Krashen. Who is Krashen? So Stephen D. Krashen was born on May 14, 1941, an American linguist, educational researcher, and activist who is Emeritus Professor of Education at the University of Southern California. He moved from the linguistic department to the faculty of the School of Education in 1994. Stephen Krashen is a professor known for his theory on the acquisition of a second language. Explore Krashen's work with his biography, quotes, and five-part theory comprised hypotheses on acquisition learning, monitor, input, natural order, and affective filter. So let's discuss first the acquisition learning hypothesis. So acquisition learning hypothesis, a language learning and acquisition are two different processes. The pupil picks up language unconsciously when learning it. Similar to when a toddler learns their first language, this occurs. As opposed to this, language acquisition occurs when a pupil consciously discovers and learns the grammatical structures and rules of the language. So it claims that learning and acquisition are two distinct processes by which we acquire our linguistic abilities. So Krashen thinks that acquisition is more significant than learning. So the process of learning a language is subconscious, and the learner is not aware it is happening. So the language is actually ignorant of having learned new knowledge once it has been obtained. So learning a language requires structured instruction, making it a deliberate activity. So the learner represents new linguistic constructions as rules and grammar, possibly drawing conscious comparisons between the two. So despite the fact that the student is aware of these rules, it's possible that they have no real influence of the language the student uses. So the third person, S, is a structure that was learned in the first few weeks and serves as a good illustration. So let's proceed to number 2, monitor hypothesis. According to the monitor hypothesis, a student is intentionally acquiring a language's grammar, rules, and functions rather than its meaning. So this theory is primarily concerned with linguistic accuracy. Three requirements must be accomplished in order to correctly apply the monitor hypothesis. So the buyer must be familiar with the language rules. So the language learner must focus on the precise structure of the language. The learner has to block off some time to review and use the grammar rules in a discussion. So despite the fact that there isn't always enough time in everyday talks to assure linguistic accuracy, this is a challenge one. So let's proceed to number 3, the natural order hypothesis. It is based in the observation that grammatical rules are universally and consistently learned by language learners. Similar to how a person learns their first language, this type of learning has an element of predictability. So number 4, the input hypothesis. The input hypothesis emphasizes the importance of learning a second language. This idea is more interested in how language is learned than acquired. In addition, the input hypothesis contends that when students are exposed to engaging and intriguing material, language acquisition occurs naturally. So let's proceed to number 5, affective filter hypothesis. Emotional considerations may influence language development in affective filter. The pupil has a worse chance of learning the language if the affective filter is higher. So that the student is open to feedback, the learning environment must be encouraging and stress-free. So that was the 5 hypotheses of Krashen'S theory on second language acquisition. Thanks for watching!